right, it's 7:30, and you know what that means. We start on time every time. I'm Dr. Kelly Omzee, your board certified OBGYN and healthcare executive, here to help you live your healthiest and wealthiest life. And you know that we do that through Viva Life. And through Viva Life, we focus on meditation, journaling, exercise, optimizing our nutrition and our sleep while we eat the Viva Life 5 foods: fruits, vegetables, nuts, grains, beans, and drinking our water. If you eat meat, make sure it's lean, it's clean, and it's of high quality. So tonight, this is about developing our spiritual, mental, and emotional health and well-being so that we can be our best selves. And I have a super fantastic guest with us. Her name is Karen Arnold. She is my personal executive coach. She has been coaching me for the last year, and she has been absolutely amazing. So Karen, tell us a little bit about yourself and the 3 things you want us to take away from tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly, for that wonderful introduction. And I'm super, super excited to be here. It's actually my first time doing something like this, so it's fun for me too, trying to adjust to my own changes in my life. So I am a certified coach through the International Coaches Federation. I've been doing this for a few years now. I'm actually we can do the degrees things. I've got an MBA from Harvard. I was a West Point grad. So I've been doing lots of different things in my career and have lots of different experiences. But this has been the most fulfilling journey for me, is to be able to be an executive coach for folks and help them find their best selves and live to the truest life that they want to be. Tonight, I really wanted to talk about, the 3 kind of takeaways is, the first is, as you're going through change and pivoting change, how you perceive that change can really affect how you want to actually move forward. And if you can shift some of that perception, it can change how you actually address that, change your mindset, change your life, and make it more positive and allow you to show up. The second thing is, one of the things I tell through coaching all of my clients is that really driving towards your values, that the true self, your true you. And if you can find out what those values are and stick to them through your changes and look at all of your options through the lens of those values, you end up making the best choices for you that drive you towards fulfillment. And the final thing is really about bringing everything into choice. You're taking control of your life, not letting your life happening to you, but you actually advocating for yourself and driving towards your own future. So those are kind of the 3 takeaways that I hope to leave people through in the whole outcome here.
And I know that this is going to be great. The reason why is because, like I said, you've made such a difference in my life and in my executive career, and I'm so grateful for that. And that being said, we have been talking about pivoting a lot in the Viva Life Viva Life SPS Me experiences, as well as our inner circle. We did a full affirmation room on this. So that was 3 nights, 15 minutes per night, talking about pivoting, what it feels like, what it looks like, and how we can actually come out on the other side as a better person, not only for yourself, but for the people that you're involved with as well. So Karen, go ahead and, take it away. It's your floor for the next 7 minutes or so. So take it away. Okay. And the Lifers and our Viva Life guests, go ahead and start getting your questions ready, because you know how this goes. We do Q&A rounds. So go ahead, Karen.
Wonderful. So I want to start this by just telling you a little about what coaching is. And there's lots of different kinds of coaches. And when I talk about executive coaching, it's really, our coaching part is a partnership between the coach and the client. And it's thought-provoking and it's creative. It's so that the client can actually maximize their potential and personal and professional basis. And it's really about creating a safe space for that individual to then explore themselves and to become them, who they want to be, their best version of themselves. So another way to define this is what it's not. It's not therapy. We're looking forward into the future. We're not looking back into the past. Of course, your past is going to inform how you're addressing things and topics, but we're not trying to solve any problems, because in coaching, you're already a complete and whole person. We're just trying to get you to the next level. So there's no problems we're trying to fix. There's no issues we're trying to resolve. I already look at you as being a whole and wonderful person. And I'm just here to support your journey to whatever the next part of your life is going to be, whether it's professional, personal, who you want to be. And the other thing is it's not consulting and it's not mentoring. So I'm not trying to tell you to do these things and then you can become this. You're on your own journey of self-discovery. You are your expert in yourself. It is not me. I'm here to just create this space so we can explore your best self. So that's what coaching is. And if you ever are engaged with a coach and they're not helping you support your own personal growth and your self-exploration, ask them about it, because it's about you teaching you to fish, not just feeding you a fish, having you for the rest of your life. So when a lot of clients that come to this, we really talk about changes in their life that they're going through, whether they're looking for a job or they're getting ready to move or they're taking on a new role, it's a new leadership role or any of those things. We talk a lot about changes. And as you know, some changes are very voluntary. I'm electing to leave, or I'm choosing to move, or I'm excited about this new job, or I'm buying a house, or those are all voluntary. And some of them are involuntary. Oh, that contract you thought you were going to get, nope, you're not getting it. So here you had a plan and now you're not. Or this job you thought you were going to get and you're like, I'm a shoo-in for it. All of a sudden it doesn't happen. So some of those are involuntary. And what happens in these changes is every time you go through any kind of change, you have feelings. And feelings are going to exist. They just are. They're not good. They're not bad. They just are. And of course, we get told through our whole lives, we need to be stoic. We need to just drive on, work through it. And so a lot of times what we want to try to do is push those feelings down and actually not acknowledge them or not let them be for a moment with ourselves and sit with them. So when you start going through and thinking about changes, the first thing I would recommend is sit with your feelings. Acknowledge that they are there. I'm sad. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. I'm thrilled. I'm enthusiastic. I can't wait for this to happen. I'm so looking forward. Whatever those feelings are, they are. Acknowledge them. Sit with them. Let them be. Because if we try to push them down or push them out, that they're just sitting there bubbling under the surface. And then they come out in these outbursts and then you're like, oh, geez, I didn't mean to do that. And it's just because you're having this expression. So acknowledge them, yep, and label them if you can. Like, yeah, I'm really hurt by whatever this happened. Or, oh, this is like, I can't wait for this next step. But acknowledge it and acknowledge that feeling. Because a lot of times, like I said, your feelings are your feelings. You can't necessarily choose what they are, but what you can choose is you choose how you want to react to them. So in those choices of how you want to be and how you want to show up next, it's how do you want to align to what's important? How do you create those values? And a lot of times, if you can figure out how to make those make your choices values-based alignment and who your true self is, what is important to you, now you can start making choices that stay in alignment and you're working with yourself and with your true self and not against it. So a lot of times coaches will take you through a values mining exercise. One of the ones I love to do is a peak experience. It's when was a time in your life where you felt you were in your full power? Didn't mean everything was perfect. It meant that you felt you were in full power. Your energy was tingling, your tips were alive. You just felt everything was going the way it was going to. And then we explore that experience. And by asking questions about it, we get to pull out, well, were you independent? Were you part of a team? Were you being supportive? Was it a problem that you were solving? Was it a process you were putting into place? So going through a couple of these values mining exercises, you're like, what was important about that experience? What was happening? How did I feel? Helps you to then figure out what is really important to you. What goes on that makes you feel fully alive. Once you can identify those, now you can start applying those to shift to your perception about the issue or the change that you're facing. And a couple of different ways that you can do it. One is you can certainly look through the change from the lens of your values. If I like to be supportive in a team and now is taken away from something that has future, like, okay, well, how can I think about my support that I'm providing others through this new lens of opportunity? So it's not like, oh, it shut me down. It's how do I now think about this through this lens, or think about it through growth, or whatever is important to you, shifting that perception and refocusing on your lens of the change. Another way you can do this is you can visualize your future. What is the future that you're looking for? And then recognize that, oh, what is one step? What is the first step I can put towards that future? It doesn't mean I'm going to get to that future next week. That is not what it means. But it's one step that I can control and I can do to put me on the path towards that. Even if it's sending one email out to a contact that you haven't had. Another way to kind of shift your perspective, a third thing is especially, and this happens, or this is useful when it seems like the world is falling in on you, is, 99% of that event can be horrible, but what's the 1% good in this event? And maybe it's, I've learned something from it. Maybe it's, I learned something I don't want to do to others, if it's something that has happened to you. Maybe it's, oh, this gives me a new chance to do this. So thinking about how you shift your perception becomes very important. Once you shift your perception, your perspective, or your perception, change your perspective, well, those P words, then you can choose how you want to go forward. And it becomes your active choice. So you can say, okay, now this is what's going on. Here are the different things that I can do. How do I want to react? What are the choices that I want to make? I've sat with my feelings. I've looked at different options. Now I can make a choice. And you make a more informed choice. It's less reactive and it's more proactive. You're taking control. And of course, when you do that, there are things you can control and things you can't control. So the next thing is, what do you have to let go of? What do you have to put by the side? What do you have to be okay with not controlling, and putting that in perspective and saying, yep, these are the things that I can do. These are the things I can't do. And that's kind of looking forward to the change. One of the last steps in this whole process that I think is important to do is, when you look at the situation that you're leaving, and I think Dr. Kelly, you and I have talked about this a lot too, is what is it important for you to do so you can close whatever chapter it is that you were living at the time. It might be, and especially I do this a lot when people are coming into job changes. They're like, oh, I have this to-do list. I have to do this. And I say, it's not the to-do list. When you look back 5 years from now and you reflect back on this time, what do you want to have been most proud of doing as you got up to leave? And generally a lot of times it comes down to, I want to be known as this kind of person. I want to say goodbye to these kinds of people. And yes, you'll get your to-do list done that you need to get done. That's fine. But it's about who you want to be as you're closing that chapter, because your life is going to continue. What you're leaving behind is just one chapter. So when you want to reflect back on that future, it's done, because you want to step into the next chapter being fully refreshed and ready to go and to address that next challenge. So kind of in terms of the steps that I said is, acknowledge your feelings, shift your perception, align to your values, choose what you want, be your best advocate for yourself. You are the expert on yourself. You get to choose. Let go of the things that you can't control, and then finally close out what you're leaving behind. So that's sort of the history of when we talk about coaching, of what we do from that standpoint. So with that.
Yes, and this is why I absolutely love you, because you say what you're going to do. We break it down during the coaching session. We do it, and then in the end, you actually have this amazing 6 steps that you've done, that you've written down, and you can actually go back and see where you come from and move forward. So that's why I absolutely love you as my executive coach. Thank you. So that being said, Viva Lifers, you know how we do. We always ask questions. And one thing that Karen has offered for us is to do, you said, a value mining session with someone.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be complete because we don't have the full time for it, but we can do a really quick one if somebody wants to volunteer for that.
Yes, if anybody is brave enough to go ahead and raise their hand and let us know, and just tell us what the value mining, just remind us what that means again.
So what it is it's really trying to explore a time in your life, and there's a bunch of different ways to do it, where you felt you were in your full power. Because when you have that full power feeling, when you're like, oh, I am standing in my most excellent self, and I have the energy flowing, and I know what I'm doing, and I am who I should be, that's when your values are aligned with what you're doing. And so if we can figure out what those values are at that point in time, that's when we can start driving forward from that.
A question, can you please list the 6, I believe it's the 6 steps that you went over, summarize the 6 steps.
Sure. So the first one is acknowledge your feelings. Then it's shift your perception, align to your values, choose what you want to do, let go, like figure out what you need to let go of and let go of it. And then finally close out what you're leaving behind.
Okay, I think I put that all there.
So what I would do with this in terms of having a client, so we would make a note of those, and we would continue, and as we would talk about your issue or your experience, we would continue to pull out. They'd probably pull out 5 or 6 more values through a whole series of questions. But what I would say is, if you're getting ready to pivot and change, well, I would look at things from the viewpoint of how much does this next change? Does this give me the independence that I'm wanting or craving? Where can I find that independence? Is it built into the job or to the situation that I can get that solitude out of it? If not, how can I reclaim some of that solitude and that quiet and that reflection so I can rebuild that resilience into my own schedule? If I can't find it at work, how do I do it at home? To build that resilience. And so that's where I'm talking about sort of finding your values. How do you then look at your situation through the perspective of the values lens and then apply that? Okay. So anybody can do this. If you're thinking about, you can find out a situation, reflect what was going on when you were in your full power. It can be in your personal life, it could be your professional life. There is no rhyme or reason. You can do a personal one even and apply it to your professional life, but it's about how you felt, what you were experiencing, what you were doing, and then really kind of think back on that and figure out what was happening at that time. And that's where you can start mining those values. You can even partner up with a friend to do it and ask questions about it and have them relay back what they hear about it. So that's kind of what we would do from that values experience.
I love that. Thank you first of all, thank you so much for offering. Thank you, RT, for the hand clap. We appreciate that. So does anybody have any questions for us based on anything that we've said? If you've been in the affirmation room, we have been talking about pivoting. Tonight, Karen just talked to us 6 steps about pivoting, going through major changes in our bodies. I tell you all the time, in our lives and our bodies, I tell you all the times that our cells are constantly changing. So it's really funny to me that we resist change when our bodies are constantly in change mode. So does anybody else have any questions, comments, any concerns that they wanted to bring up that Karen would be able to, to kind of touch on for us? Are you stuck anywhere in your life? You're having a hard time figuring out, what is the next step?
I have a question.
Sure.
How do you factor, quote, burnout in the desire to pivot and determining when to pivot? To keep from making decisions, prematurely, when you could just take time off.
Right. So I'm not a burnout specialist. And like I said, I'm not a licensed therapist, I'm a coach. So, but what I would say about burnout is I think a lot of times burnout happens when we're not working within our value system. There's something that's causing us to do work that's against how we would normally like to operate. So I'll use a very, very high level example that's probably everyone can identify with. I'm an introvert. If I had to be in a call center and on task every single day talking to people, I would burn out very quickly. So what I would have to do is figure out how am I in my current situation working against myself? Is it because I'm not being refreshed? Is it because I'm not seeking new challenges? Is it because I'm feeling burdened by the things that are being piled on top of me? And you don't have to necessarily know exactly what it is, but if you can figure out a little bit of what in your value system isn't being fully addressed or working against how you would really normally like to operate. And then what I would say is there's a couple of different ways. One is, are you okay with in your current job situation still working in that manner? Is that going to change? And can you find resilience outside of work? So if I need to be on top, can I have the quiet time at home that I need to recharge so I can come back and be who I want to be the next day? Another way to think about that too is, where can you find and work the things that actually do come into your value system, and so that you can emphasize and remember that, refocus, like, this is how I want to live and I can bring this here. And from that standpoint, now you can start making choices. Is this something that I want to continue to do? Are the circumstances are going to change? Is there a way that I can talk to my supervisor or my peers or coworkers on how can we shift so I can work a little bit more towards my value system? And if all of that is not the case, then okay, well, what could I do? And then you don't have to change it next week. You don't have to change it next month, but what's one small thing that I can do to feel like I'm back in control? Maybe it's, I just want to refresh my resume just to see. And when I do that, what did I enjoy? Think about what you enjoyed doing. Think about what you didn't enjoy doing. Okay, well, now I had a thing. Well, can I do more of what I enjoy doing at work? So hopefully, Sheila, did that help answer your question a little bit?
Yes, thank you so much. I've actually started doing some of those things and letting go some things at the same time. Yes. Thank you.
Yes, sure. And that's a lot of it too, is what don't you control? So what do you have to let go of? Because you can control yourself, you can control your choices and how you react. You can't always control what you feel. Feelings are what they are, and you can't control others. No matter how much we think we can, we can't.
Thank you, Sheila, for asking that question. Thank you, Karen, for the answer. Really appreciate it. I know we're all getting something significant out of each of the questions answered and what you have presented. So one of the things you talk about is letting go of control. And I know I have a lot of type A personalities in here, including myself. The things that we practice, and I know you know this because we've talked about it in my coaching session, is the forgiveness and release part. So that letting go of control. I mean, we say the affirmations, forgiveness and releasing, but can you tell us what we're clearing up when we let go of the control? Can you help us with that? Because sometimes it's hard for us to figure out why.
Yeah. So I mean, I think as human beings, many people I talk to, we tend to sort of obsess over the things that really are not in our control, because we think that if we think about it hard enough and harder, then we can manifest some change. And so a lot of times I think it comes back to, let's bring it back into reality. So yes, I don't want the weather to stay at 90 degrees. I want rain, and I'm going to obsess because my lawn is fraying up and I can't change that. And it's driving me nuts. It's driving my husband nuts. And I have to pay for water to water my lawn. And I know this is very silly, but yes, but I have to let that go. What can I change? I can accept the fact that my lawn's going to dry up, and I can accept the fact I can pay for water, but I can make those choices. I can't change the weather. So it's about, how can you bring it back into really focusing in on what is in your control? Was it a specific action, or what can you do? What's one small thing? What's one step that you can do to take back control? Because knowing you're not going to be able to change the fact that you just got let go of a job. You might not be able to change your supervisor because they just started and they can't do anything. But you can change how you think about your next job. You can change how you want to structure your engagements with your supervisor. You can change your word choices. And so it's it's bringing back into, what can you change? What's within the span of your control? And then breathe through it. I mean, bring it in, bring it out, and let it go. And yep, I can't, and acknowledging, I cannot change that person. I cannot change the weather, and breathe it out, let it go. And it's not going to happen the first time. It's not going to happen the second time. It might not even happen the third time. It's one of those things you're probably going to have to do repeatedly, and remind yourself repeatedly, I can't change this. Let it go. And it's a practice, and you change. And I mean, as you know, practice makes perfect.
It does. It truly does. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for being here tonight. Karen, can you give us your information or how we can get in touch with you? Because I know that your services are amazing.
Yes, anytime. So thank you very much, Raven. That's very thoughtful. You can email me at karnold@ktechsolutions.com. I have a website, ktechsolutions.com, KTEQsolutions.com. You can find me there. You can send me a text or a phone call, 617-893-9998. If I don't recognize your phone call or your phone number, I probably won't answer, but just leave a message. And if you leave a message, you're like, hey, I'm through Viva Life, then I will call you back. But you have to leave a message, because if you don't, I won't know. So any and all those things are available. You can also find me on LinkedIn. It's Karen A. Arnold, I think, is my LinkedIn. And I'm sure I'm friends with linked to Dr. Kelly, so you can find me that way as well. I would just say, by all means, if you find a coach, the one thing that's beautiful about coaches is they can just be your accountability partner. They're just there to help support you in your journey.
Absolutely. So let me just make sure. So we said KTEQ solutions.com, as well as
That's it.
and for our Viva Life members, our Viva Lifers and ones that watch and ready to join. So 617-893-9998.
That's it.
Okay, and LinkedIn, Karen Arnold. So thank you so much for being here, and we really appreciate you. And we know that you're going to continue to make a positive impact on so many lives, including people in this room. So thank you. I'm Dr. Kelly Omzee. You can contact me on LinkedIn at Kelly O. Elmore, as well as in Instagram at Dr. Kelly OMD and Viva Life Health Hub. We are so proud to be a part of this experience with you. We're so grateful for each one of you being here. Please go ahead and look at the different experiences that we offer, completely digital or actually having one-to-one or group coaching on the inner circle. It makes a complete difference in your life. So we want you to join. Have a wonderful evening, and don't forget to do what? Viva Life. All right. Thank you for being a part of the Viva Life experience. I'm Dr. Kelly Omzee, board certified OBGYN and healthcare executive. If you like what you heard, then please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. The reason why is because we are trying to educate, encourage, and inspire 1 million people to live their healthiest and wealthiest life. And this is what we're bringing you. We're bringing you educational videos. We're bringing you podcasts. We are bringing you webinars with subject matter experts, including myself, about the topics that affect you the most. So go ahead, like, subscribe, and share. We are everywhere. Have a wonderful day. Viva Life.